Welcome to Legally Speaking with Victor Gwam. I'm Victor Gwam, a legal practitioner with over 35 years of experience arguing cases at all levels of court in Nigeria. This podcast is a passion project born from my deep love for the law and the countless insights I've gathered along the way. Whether you're a lawyer, law student, or just curious about how the legal system works, you're in the right place. Family inheritance battles can make Game of Thrones look tame, and today's story from Lagos State proves that when it comes to estates and wills, the real drama happens in courtrooms, not on TV.
You know what fascinates me about these cases? How they reveal the complex web of human relationships hiding behind all that legal jargon.
Exactly right. This particular case centers around the estate of Dr. Chief Oluyinka Olumide, and it showcases something we see time and time again, how family dynamics can complicate what should be straightforward legal proceedings.
So what makes this case so special? I mean, estate disputes happen all the time, right?
Well, here's where it gets interesting. Two executors, Chief Theophilus Oluwole Akindele and Prince Francis Gbadebo Adewole, won a court judgment in 2018 giving them authority to manage the estate. They became what's called judgement creditors, which basically means they had the court's official backing to carry out their duties.
That term, judgment creditor, sounds pretty technical. What does it really mean in practical terms?
Think of it like getting a golden ticket from the legal system. When you become a judgment creditor, you've essentially won your case, and the court has given you specific rights and powers. In this case, it meant these executors had the legal authority to manage the estate according to the deceased's wishes.
But I'm guessing someone wasn't too happy about that arrangement?
Oh, you're right about that. Enter Mr. Oluyinka Olumide, a beneficiary who wasn't involved in the original court proceedings. He tried to challenge the judgment after the fact, claiming there was fraud and that he should have been included from the start.
That must have thrown quite a wrench into the works. How did the legal system handle that kind of challenge?
This is where it gets fascinating. The legal system has this principle called functus officio. It's Latin for having performed its office. Basically, once a court makes its decision, it's like the referee's final whistle in a soccer match. You can't just come back later and say, let's replay that game.
You know what this reminds me of? Those family situations where someone tries to change the rules after everything's been decided because they don't like the outcome.
Exactly. And that's why the legal system has these protections in place. The executors filed what's called a preliminary objection, arguing that Mr. Olumide had no legal standing to challenge the judgment since he wasn't part of the original case.
So how did the court ultimately rule on this challenge?
They sided firmly with the judgment creditors. The court essentially said, look, we can't have people who weren't involved in the original case coming in afterward to try to overturn everything. It's about maintaining the integrity of the legal process.
That makes sense from a practical standpoint. But don't you think it might seem unfair to someone who feels they were left out of important decisions about their family's estate?
Well, that's where the balance comes in. The courts have to weigh individual interests against the need for legal finality. If they allowed every decision to be challenged indefinitely, nothing would ever be resolved. It's like trying to build a house on shifting sand. You need a solid foundation.
Let's talk about the bigger picture here. What does this case tell us about how we should handle estate planning?
You know, that's such an important question. This case really highlights three crucial lessons. First, clear communication while everyone's alive is essential. Second, proper legal documentation is non-negotiable. And third, choosing the right executors, people who can handle both the legal and emotional aspects, is critical.
Speaking of executors, it seems like they're often caught between a rock and a hard place.
That's right, they have to balance their legal duties with family relationships, which is no easy task. In this case, the executors had to stand firm in their role as judgment creditors while probably dealing with significant family pressure.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners who might be thinking about their own estate planning?
The key message is this: don't leave your family to sort things out in court after you're gone. Have those difficult conversations now, get everything properly documented, and make sure everyone understands their role and rights. It might be uncomfortable in the short term, but it's far better than leaving behind a legal battle.
And I suppose it's also important to understand that these legal principles, like functus officio, exist for good reasons.
Exactly. They're not just legal technicalities, they're essential tools for maintaining order and ensuring that decisions can actually be carried out. Without them, we'd have chaos in our legal system.
This has been such an eye-opening discussion about how legal principles intersect with real family dynamics.
Indeed. And if there's one final thought to leave our listeners with, it's this. The best time to prevent legal battles is before they begin. Clear communication, proper documentation, and understanding legal principles aren't just good practices. They're essential for protecting family relationships and ensuring your wishes are carried out as intended.